Welcome, everyone. My name is Steve Stein, and I'm the host of the StreetSmart Wisdom podcast. And we are excited to be live today with Daaji. And we're just going to push a couple of buttons. I'm hearing a little bit of feedback. Um, Great. Wow, we have a lot of people watching. It's so exciting. And before we start, let's let's have people put in the chat where they're watching from all over the world. It's very exciting. So, um, again, Steve Stein, host of the Street Smart Wisdom podcast, very special today, very special session. Today, we have uh, Kamlesh D. Patel, affectionately known to many as Daaji. He's a best-selling author, spiritual leader of the heartfulness movement, environmentalist, and entrepreneur. A pharmacist by trade, Daaji brings to the table a unique blend of science and spirituality. His teachings integrate the two and give us a deeper understanding of the purpose of human existence. His practical approach to spirituality gives us a simple and efficient framework for a more peaceful, joyful, and sustainable world. And today we're talking about his best selling book that came out recently, Spiritual Anatomy, Meditation, Chakras, and the Journey to the Center. Welcome, Daaji. So nice to have you here.
Thank you, Mr. Stein. Thank you for having me at your podcast. And thank you for introducing this very, very special book, Spiritual Anatomy. It has already created a lot of controversy, Dr. Mr. Stein, that what about seven chakras? And you end up mentioning 16 chakras. So, but that's the one I think is more emphasized time and again in this book, the roadmap of our spiritual journey. It's in this book, and those who really, really, really like to explore this in a practical way, they need to go inside, go inward, and begin your journey with guides, with the trainers. We have trainers worldwide. And am I saying this so emphatically? That you can really begin your inner journey from wherever you are and take the help of all these trainers. You can access them at heartfulness.org, or you can find them on Heartfulness app, meditation app. And I always say that it's all for free. This is a humanitarian service. Those who like to find peace, go within, feel calmness, poise, tranquility, sleep better, have a healthy mental attitudes, I think then this heartfulness way of meditation is very helpful. It's all about the heart. Don't we see that all around us from our childhood? People who have touched us, they have touched our heart. People whom we have touched them with our hearts. And these are the people whom we carry in our consciousness with so much of joy and pride. People who have really helped us at the heart level. At the mind level, there are many teachers and there are many individuals, there are many books also. But here, I think it's very unique character of heartfulness way of meditation is all about heart and qualities of the heart like compassion, kindness, love, and how we dissolve all their opposites, the negatives. So we, through heartfulness way of meditation, reinforce the positive and try to dissolve what is negative. For example, in the morning meditation, when we sit quietly for a few minutes, becoming receptive to the grace that descends through the guide, we experience that. It's not a matter of belief system, it's not a matter of faith or trust. You just sit like a scientist, experiment with it, see how it affects you in 5 minutes. See how it affects you in 10 minutes. See how it affects you in half hour. So you not only have time slot experimentation, but also you can meditate before sunrise, see how your meditation is. After sunrise, see how your meditation is. Does the sunrise or sunset has anything to do with my meditation? You can judge it for yourself. I don't have to tell you anything, or nobody has to tell you anything. Similarly, the things that we try to get rid of at evening times, we have that special process. It's not just meditating on the heart, but how to get rid of our negative tendencies, the inner demons. And there's a special process, and we teach that. As soon as you come back home, you sit and relax and apply the method that we teach. That's all there is. At bedtime, connect yourself with your inner self and see how you are reinforcing the idea of what you really are aspiring, what you really want to achieve, and how things in worldly life are troubling you. What are your desires and wishes? Are they really stumbling blocks in your with your aspirations? And who can help you get out of these intricacies? So there is a goal that we identify with, we resonate with, we try to find what is blocking it, and we try to resort to the solution. So it's a wonderful practice. And it can really help us evolve faster than anything at a level of consciousness.
So all just wonderful. And again, I'm just so pleased and honored to be having this conversation with you. So I think, we do, for many years, I've been working with people in the mindfulness space. So, and you just mentioned the contrast between the mind and the heart. When, you know, if you're in your heart space, it's much easier to be clear. There's less conflicting voices. You know when you're centered. You know when things are on track or feel grounded. But the mind is trickier. So this is heartfulness like a hack? Is it like is it like a tool? Is it a trick to do better in life, to be more grounded and centered?
Well, your question itself is the answer. That it is the grounding, it is the centering of the self that helps us make really good decisions with which you are very confident. Whether you fail or succeed, that's a different story. But making a right choice, right decision, it always comes from the heart. And when the conscience of the heart and logic of the mind, they form an eclipse, that's the best situation. They sing together, they are in accord, then that's a very good situation. But sometimes, not just sometimes, but often, we find the instincts of the mind and feelings of the heart are at cross. And that's when we have to have some courage to follow the voice of the heart. Because the voice of the heart is always correct. It can never misguide us. And especially when heart speaks louder. And Steve, when has your heart spoken louder? Only when you are about to do wrong stuff. Don't do it, Stein. Steve.
How do you know me so well? You're in my I just met you. How do you know my whole Of course,
It's
I,
common to all, Steve. You're not the only one. We all have this trait that heart speaks louder whenever we try to even speak lie to your mother and say, Mom, I was outside with my friends doing my homework. And your mom says, aha, and you say, you were elsewhere. At 12 o'clock, you're doing your homework. Anyway, your heart begins to beat faster whenever you lie. It's an unnatural thing. It's not something that you would love to do. So, whenever we try to do any unnatural thing, unwanted thing, things which is not good for my evolution, but you still want to do it, you say, heart, please shut up, let me do this. She's so gorgeous, I want to date her. But then you regret. So, heart always is correct. And you reflect back on all your decisions that we have made in life, um, decisions of regrets, I mean, that resulted in regrets or guilt. What was before you made that decision? Wasn't your heart telling you something? Was it quiet or was it louder? It always said, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And the result was regrets and guilt. But whenever something good happened, your heart was in agreement. It never made any noise. In fact,
There's an expression, in meditation to talk about the monkey mind, just trying to stop the parade of thoughts that come through your mind, and whether it's about the girl, or it's about paying your rent, or it's about you're hungry, or you're not well, or you're feeling, there's a million, it's a big competition in your brain for you to listen to one of them. But when you're centered, that heartfulness, it's unique. There's no chatter in there. It's not a monkey. It's something much more peaceful.
well, nature of the mind is to think. Eyes are to see, right? Ears are to hear, listen. Excuse me.
You okay?
Something happened. I don't know.
You
Are
okay?
you
Okay.
live?
You feeling better? You good?
Yeah, a lot better now.
Okay, good. Whatever it takes, take your time, whatever you need. So I think you were saying, and where you were going is, it reminds me of the old axiom again. Your mother or your parents used to say, you have two you have one mouth and two ears for a reason. Right? It's better to listen than to speak, or in general. So I think you were talking with the heart, the mind, the nature. It's designed to think of everything, but the heart is designed for something different. I think that's what you were going to say.
Yes. Mind, the role of the mind is to think, and which is very good. A lot of people say, oh, during meditation, I have so many thoughts, and it's natural. But we have to train this monkey mind and say, I will meditate no matter what. I train my mind to think on what I want it to think. So during meditation, what we generally do, Mr. Stein, is this: we close our eyes, we relax ourselves, and gently focus our attention towards the heart. Be receptive at that moment. And most meditators have this simple goal: how to understand the higher nature of our existence, the purpose of life. Is there divinity? Is there God? So we begin with an attitude just before the meditation that I I had to confess myself at that moment just before meditation that, Lord, I don't even know if you are there. I don't want to claim that God is there. And I also don't want to claim that God doesn't exist. Because both of us, believers and non believers, are not at all sure about presence or absence. So we approach with a scientific mind, with a neutral mind, and try to prove or disprove. If during meditation I find some transformation in my consciousness by seeking the help and see if there is divinity, if there is something like grace, if it descends and transforms my consciousness, then I can believe. It's like this: when you put water on a stove, you lit it up, fire starts, right? The flame starts and it starts to heat up the water. If water doesn't get heated up or boiled, what does it mean? You say it's a cold flame or flame doesn't exist or it doesn't heat up. Right? The very fact that water has boiled is that means that the source of heat. Likewise, in my heart, when
I'm
I
sorry. Say that again. That the fact that the water has boiled. What does that mean?
it means that when boiling is a sign, boiling of a water is a sign that the stove is on and there is a source of heat. If it was not boiling, then there is a problem that this flame is not enough or flame is absent to create any heat or boiling of water. You understand that much? Okay. Likewise, when we meditate, and if there is grace transmission that we claim in heartfulness, that it pours through the will of the trainer, and with that grace or transmission, if you are able to feel this change in consciousness, something like boiling of water.
At the boiling point. It's true. Sometimes, like if you're meditating, you're like your life is in your brain, and then after a minute or a second or 5 minutes, that turns off. It's almost like the water is starting to boil. Something is starting to work in the process.
Right. So very remarkable things do happen during that time. So I would like to say that let's sit with an open mind, not even thinking of presence or absence of God, but let me feel if He is there. If divine does exist, then it should able to make change, transform, just like water is being heated. Likewise, if divinity is present, then I should get transformed with that transmission, with that associated idea. And if I feel peaceful, if I get some level of tranquility, if I can center myself, and if I can become creative, then I can say, yes, I have been transformed to some extent. Divinity is always creative. And by focusing my mind on that, I also imbibe creativity. Say, if I'm associated with a terrorist, for example, or if I'm associated with a murderer, or if I'm associated with a drug pusher, then I will imbibe those traits in myself. When I associate myself at a mentally, emotionally, and spiritually with some higher beings, then I am sure to imbibe those qualities. There is no doubt about it. See. And meditation helps us gather all those qualities faster than nature could provide us with. See, there is a natural evolution, it happens over eons of time. Through meditation, it's an accelerated process of evolution
Hmm.
where there's a continuous, intense shift in your consciousness all the time. And that has to be experienced. It's a matter of experiencing. See.
Right. It's you, you can't think about it to experience it. You have to actually, I
True.
have two kids. You want to make sure that they don't, well, they're older now, 20 and 18, but I'm just kind of emptying the nest. But still, you can't touch the stove for them to show they have to touch it themselves or learn that it's hot, and that's only by experiencing it. And I think it's like in meditation, you can have the idea of relaxing, but the experience of it actually boils the water, or it, something flips. Like a second before the water boils, it's just water. But then
Yes.
when it reached that moment of stillness or the boiling point or the stillness, but then I like the metaphor. I can talk about it for days, but that's good.
Yeah,
So I have
it's
a
very
question.
because what happens in meditation, it's very, very difficult to describe. Because when you say I felt so much of peace within myself, But then, as we advance in meditation, let's say I felt peaceful yesterday during yesterday's meditation, and today when I meditated, I also felt peaceful. But there will be different intensity of this peace. You see, it's like when you mention joy, when you mention pleasure, when you mention bliss. Ordinarily, people use them interchangeably without really discerning the depth of the meanings of all these three words. But when we are meditating, then we'll be able to appreciate the significance of pleasure, significance of joy, and the beauty of something non controversial, something that has no opposite, the bliss. See, because pleasure is associated with pain, which is at the physical level. Joy is associated at a mental level, at a heart level. Right? You can be joyful, you can become also joyless. There is a duality of it. But at a spiritual level, when you feel bliss, it has no contradiction to it. It stands by itself. So these are various nuances that one feels. The bliss is uniform. Joy can have various spectrum of it, just like light or sound. Sound has its own spectrum frequency. Right? There are sound frequencies which only cat can listen. Only a dog can listen.
Hmm.
We will miss it out. Higher frequencies often we are not able to hear. Even the lower frequency, we have certain range within which only we can hear. That doesn't mean other frequencies are absent.
Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Exactly.
They do exist. Likewise, the visual bandwidth or the wavelength, uh, the infrared and UV, for example, ultraviolet. Below that and above that, we can't see much.
I,
We
I, I, I could. This is brilliant. But I have. I want. I don't. I want to make sure we have enough time. I want to ask you. I have a question about the book. You want to finish that statement, then we'll go to the book, or
Yes, what I'm trying to say, the spectrum of peace, spectrum of calmness, each time will vary. Sometimes you say, "Oh, I felt peace yesterday; it was so good." Today, it's even intense, and sometimes peace is so overwhelming that you don't even want to speak about it. You can't even write about it.
Mhm.
So this is the product of neutral approach to spirituality. If you remain biased, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, someone posted, uh, "Grace and divinity are being experienced in heartfulness meditation. Very simple system of meditation." I think that that's what you're talking about.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Thank
So
you,
it's
Umesh. So okay, so um, I have just to go back to the book. So we're talking about the book, Spiritual Anatomy, Meditation, Chakras, and the Journey to the Center. So you started by with the statement that it's very controversial, this book, and
yes,
that was the
yes,
leading question I had for you. Is I grew up, or I've studied that there are seven chakras, or sometimes eight, or but you kind of have a whole different model. But one of the things, the name of this podcast is the Street Smart Wisdom Podcast. So we try to make it practical. We both have some Brooklyn in our background. I always
yes,
think my friends from Brooklyn that don't know from meditation, they don't know from yoga. They're good people. It's just not how they see the world. So that's what my goal is, and I'm so honored to have you here. Is um, how do we translate this for the common person? Because everyone is stressed out, and everything you're saying is just filled with poetry and resonance. So it's excellent. So when I was thinking about the term chakra, I always thought, how would I explain that to my friends in Brooklyn? And I would call it an energy center. So here's my question for you, and it's part A of the question. What is a chakra? Because in your book, you have very specific places in the body where the chakras are. Is it physical? Is it an energy center? Or is it spiritual? And I think it's all three, but what's a chakra?
Well, let me ask you a question. New York City on certain longitude and latitude, right? New York City, like London, Los Angeles, every location is identified with longitude and latitude. Are they marked on the planet? We don't see them physically. These are arbitrary understandings that there is a longitude and latitude for our better understanding. Likewise, the energy meridians that passes through, that operates throughout the body, they also are energetics. They're not physical, but they do affect our physical system. For example, the nerves. When the optic nerve is infected, you will have a problem with the eyesight. Likewise, for example, let's see if you have the fire chakra is affected. Fire chakra in this system of heartfulness we consider as the third chakra, which is almost about 3 fingers or 4 fingers above the left nipple. Now, when this chakra is affected, one affected in the sense in a negative way. If it is negatively affected, then you will harbor a lot of anger and irritability. Yeah? Any suppressed emotions will gravitate towards this fire chakra. Likewise, when you have tremendous peace in your when you feel tremendous peace and calmness and some level of confidence, that means that energy is coming from the second chakra, which is almost 3 to 4 fingers below the right nipple. When you are scared, fearful, and lacking courage, those emotions they settle on the fourth chakra. We call it as water point, almost 3 fingers above the right nipple. Now, why am I sharing all this information? That energy vortexes formed are either due to positive emotions or negative emotions. Emotions carry energy. Suppose when you are angry with someone, what happens at that time? If you happen to calm down, just even for a fraction of a second during that anger spell, observe your physiology at that time. What happens to your body? Your jaws tightens up, your pupils widens up, your heart rate goes up, your hands become heavier, your shoulders are tensed, right? And if you still go further and observe what happens to your fire chakra, then you will see, oh, this is the effect of negative emotion, of anger. Per contra, when you are filled with compassion and love, when you are in the company of the most beloved person in your life, when you are sitting with such a person quietly in the evening, What happens to your physiology at that time? You're quiet, your heart rate slows down, your thoughts also get suspended, your jaws are not as tensed, your shoulders drop off, droops and become lighter. Your whole body is somehow feeling some sort of a tickling or some sort of joy all throughout the body. At that time, you watch what happens to your fire chakra. You'll be amazed to witness this thing. See, sometimes men, especially, not women so much, men, when they are sexually driven and when they want to say, "Oh, I like her so much," and he keeps thinking about sex, 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 sex all the time in his mind. What happens to one of the chakra? Try to find out. Let me keep this as a suspense. Let's not declare this, but all those friends who are listening to this podcast, try to fabricate that moment of sensuality and see which part of the body is getting worked up, becoming heavier, unpalatable, and heavier. You can't miss it out. I give you a hint also. It's only 1 square feet of your chest area. It's not out of that area. And find out. And if you can give me the answer, it will be wonderful. I'll send you this free copy of Spiritual Anatomy. Huh?
Yeah, so there are some interesting comments coming in. Um, VPR asked, how will knowing which chakra I am on help me? Can you give examples of knowing which chakra they are and how it has helped practitioners of meditation?
Well, if you are a heartfulness practitioner of meditation, you can, over a period of time, feel where you are located, depending upon the emotions that you carry at that moment or the vibrations that you feel, you will be able to locate it. When we meditate at a particular chakra, for example, you meditate on the heart chakra, and then you feel like moving, or it automatically takes you to the next. So you start feeling some vibrations there, and afterward, it's pulling you to the next chakra automatically. Okay. Now, will it? Will my next meditation take me to the next chakra? If it does not, take it for granted you are settled on the previous one. Otherwise, it will pull you to the next one. And often people remain for 10 to 15 years on each chakra. And some people move just within few days. So
Yeah,
it
but
depends.
the problem is if you have 16 chakras and 10 years for each chakra, it's 180, so
So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Some people take 10, 15 years, and some people just move in days, some in
aha,
months.
okay.
It depends on individual, how open they are, how much grossness or complexity has been loaded in the system. And based on the burden, I think one able to either fly high or fly low. I mean, if your legs are tied with 10 kilo weights, how far can you walk, let alone fly?
Right. So I'm just thinking about, you mentioned the latitude and longitude. Those are just pointing to places,
Correct.
but not the place themselves.
Correct.
And I noticed in the book you talk about, different issues have different, get stuck in different chakras, different parts of your body. And there was one, I was going to read it, but I don't know if we have enough time. But there's a section when you talk about that flame burns up, and that's part of the healing process in the corresponding chakra.
It's the third chakra, which is all about fire. It's a fire of love where one gets purified. And that's where, because of the purity that one gains or gathers at that chakra, the color that one feels inside, when you meditate, the color also has a significance that one observes. Um, let's see if I keep seeing yellow color within, versus if I keep seeing just the white, or the hue of white and red, or just the red, or black, or blue. All colors have some significance because every chakra is associated also with the color. For example, when you are on the heart chakra, the inside one may feel constantly the presence of yellow. If you see white and have the sense of purity, purity of love, then you will see white color, and that signifies that you are on the fire chakra. So every color has some significance. The emotions also have some significance. You can relate all these things. So I generally maintain my journal during, each time I meditate and write down. Immediately, I may not know what has happened, or I may not know where I am. But after about maybe 10 months or 10 years, I'll be able to see this trajectory, slow, because the experiences within are very subtle, very refined, and very difficult to express them. But over the years, you will be able to conclude with confidence that yes, my trajectory is like this. And I was on this chakra for a longer time than the other chakras. So you'll be able to see all those nuances.
So it's like a roadmap for spirituality, and on the different destinations, the different latitudes and longitudes on your daily experience. And this book is like a tool to just, first of all, it could you could put this book could be in the poetry section. It's just so much poetry. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
and so it's kind of like a roadmap or a tool to to get connect to your heart, and to connect to other people. Uh, here's a good one, and let's see if you have anything to say on this. Why am I born?
Oh, to become better and better.
Ah, okay, that's a good one. So we could do this for a while, but I think uh, we were thinking of finishing up with you leading us in a centering meditation. Uh,
Okay, so if you are ready, we can begin.
Okay. And then maybe we'll just end after that. But any last words or before we go into the centering meditation?
Well, let's finish the last words first because after meditation, I might forget it.
All right, good. So let's just go. Okay. So I'm going to make the screen so you're the only one on there. So uh, let's go. Okay.
Dear friends, I'm very happy that we are talking to Mr. Stein on his podcast. Please take meditation as an adventure, your inner adventure. I call it inventure. And have inner experience, and I call that as imperience rather than experience, because the experience is all outside. The inner experience I like to differentiate in the words of my seniors in the field of meditation. They used to call it as imperience. Now, this adventure and imperience need not be packed with shraddha or faith, as many religions demand that you got to have faith. I would also say you need not have even a belief or no belief. Nothing of that sort, belief or no belief. But approach with neutrality, the humble heart, and say, I like to experience the presence. And having experienced the presence, we have moved from the mind. We have transcended the mind full of thoughts to the feelings, experiencing. And when we transcend the experience, we become. Let me explain what is meant by transcending the experience. When you are in the company of a very wealthy friend on a private island, you stay with your friend for 3 months. After 3 months or during that period itself, you would wish, oh, I'm having a wonderful time, but I wish I was also as rich. Though you have experienced hospitality of a rich friend. Likewise, I may experience through meditation various nuances, consciousness, etc., divinity, but I would like to become divine myself. Divine experiences are great, but I like to become divine. So, with that hope, we keep on moving and we transcend that divinity also to absolute, the source of all that divinity is. So, it's a continuum. Continuously, we keep transcending from thinking to feeling or experiencing to becoming to being. I'm sharing all this thing based on our personal experience. Our means myself and many other members of this heartfulness movement. It's a free movement where no money is charged to anyone, and there are many volunteers who would help anyone without any bias to practice this meditation. If you can meet a person in your neighborhood, great. If you cannot find a person in your neighborhood, you can connect with such trainers via this Heartfulness app. Enjoy and may it be adventurous. Now, if you are all ready to meditate, just relax yourself, just gently close your eyes. I hope you're not driving or busy doing something else. You can gently close your eyes and focus towards the heart with a suggestion that the divinity is present in my heart and I like to experience that if it's there. Meanwhile, I'll be transmitting you this divine transmission from here, India, and God willing, you'll be able to receive it wherever you are. Please remain open and be receptive to this transmission. Please begin meditation. That's all. So, Mr. Stein, this is the process. Generally, we sit like this for at least 20 minutes or half an hour, but not more than an hour. I invite one and all to meditate with me on 31st December, 1st January, and 2nd January, wherever you are, at 9 o'clock in the morning, you can sit. I repeat, 31st December, 1st January, and 2nd January. 9 o'clock in the morning, your local time. I'll be meditating as per schedule. Join me and write to me about your experiences and if any questions that you have. Daaji at heartfulness.org. Thank you. Mr. Stein, if you have anything to share.
That was just a wonderful moment podcast recording. I learned a lot. I want to watch your recording. I just want to let you know that the book Spiritual Anatomy, sorry about that echo, it's coming out in India in January. So it looks like there are a lot of folks tuning in from there. So in the end of January, this book will be available there. Uh, and
Thank you.
I think, it's just been divine. It's been excellent. And we've got almost 3,000 people watching and hundreds of comments. And people are just sharing a lot of gratitude in the comments here.
My thanks to one and all.
All right.
And
That,
the revealers.
that's
Lovely.
wonderful. Okay, I think we're going to end it now. Daaji, it's been an honor and a pleasure. And look forward to speaking with you again.
Mine too. Thank you.